The early struggles. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's journey began not in the glitzy arenas of WWE or the glamorous film sets of Hollywood, but in the quiet struggle of his childhood. Born on May 2, 1972, in Hayward, California, Dwayne's life was shaped by constant movement. His father, the legendary wrestler Rocky Johnson, was a traveling athlete, and as a result, Dwayne's family often relocated, living in places like Hawaii, Pennsylvania, and New Zealand. Each new town meant new challenges, new schools, new friends, and, often, a sense of displacement. From an early age, Dwayne understood the weight of his family's name. The Johnson family legacy in wrestling was undeniable, with his father being a trailblazer in the sport. But this fame came with its own pressure. Dwayne wasn't just trying to fit in, he was trying to carve out his identity in the shadow of a larger-than-life figure. As he navigated his adolescent years, wrestling was the last thing on his mind. Instead, he channeled his energy into football, excelling in the sport and even securing a scholarship to the University of Miami. Yet, as much as he thrived on the football field, he faced an underlying tension, a constant struggle against financial instability. His family, despite their rich wrestling history, often teetered on the edge of poverty. In one of Dwayne's earliest memories, he recalls the feeling of helplessness when his mother's car was repossessed, a moment that would stay with him for years to come. The shame and embarrassment of not being able to provide for his family pushed him to work harder, but also weighed heavily on his young shoulders. The strain of these hardships was compounded by the absence of a stable home life. Dwayne's parents separated when he was still a teenager, a traumatic event that further fueled his feelings of displacement. Yet, through it all, there was one constant: his father's words. Rocky Johnson, despite his own flaws, instilled in his son the idea that success was attainable, but only through relentless perseverance and a refusal to quit. These words became Dwayne's mantra in times of doubt, a guiding light during the darkest moments of his youth. Even as his path seemed set toward football, Dwayne began to feel the pull of the wrestling ring. It wasn't just about following in his father's footsteps. It was about proving to himself that he could succeed in his own right. But when he finally made the decision to follow his father's legacy and step into the world of professional wrestling, he encountered his first major conflict. It wasn't just about facing opponents in the ring. It was about confronting his own self-doubt and wondering if he could truly rise above the expectations placed on him. The road ahead was uncertain, but the struggles of his early life had already forged within Dwayne a deep well of resilience. Little did he know, the challenges he faced as a young man would lay the groundwork for a career that would take him to unimaginable heights. But for now, he was just a young man, uncertain of his future, but determined to overcome the odds that had shaped him. The real battle, he knew, was just beginning. Wrestling career breakthrough. Dwayne Johnson's transition from football player to professional wrestler wasn't smooth. Despite his athletic prowess, he found himself at a crossroads. After his football career didn't pan out as he had hoped, Dwayne decided to take a gamble on the world of wrestling, following the footsteps of his father, Rocky Johnson, and his grandfather, Peter Maivia. But what seemed like a natural progression to the outside world was, for Dwayne, an immense internal struggle. Wrestling wasn't just a career path. It was a legacy, one that carried a weight he wasn't sure he could bear. When he first entered the WWF, now WWE, he wasn't The Rock. He was Rocky Maivia, a clean-cut, all-American hero, named after both his father and grandfather. He wore bright, flashy trunks and a perpetual smile, an embodiment of everything that seemed good and pure about wrestling. But to the fans, he was too perfect, too polished. They didn't connect with him. The boos echoed through the arenas, drowning out the scripted cheers. Dwayne, standing in the ring with his bright persona, couldn't understand it. He was doing everything right. He was following his father's advice, respecting the legacy, and yet the fans didn't care. For months, he endured the criticism. His confidence was shaken, and the doubts crept in. Maybe he wasn't cut out for this after all. The overwhelming pressure of living up to the Johnson family name, combined with the rejection from fans, sent Dwayne into a deep period of reflection. And that was when the pivotal moment came. Realizing that playing the role of a good guy wasn't working, Dwayne made a bold decision. He would shed the suit of Rocky Maivia and embrace a new persona, The Rock. The change was dramatic, both in terms of character and in style. No longer would he be the squeaky clean, boy-next-door type. Instead, he became brash, confident, and unapologetically arrogant. He mocked the fans, turned his back on everything that had been expected of him, and embraced a rebellious persona that fans could either love or hate, but never ignore. The transformation was immediate. Fans began to notice The Rock, not as a product of his family's past, but as an individual with a personality all his own. His catchphrases, "If you smell what The Rock is cookin'," and "It doesn't matter," soon became cultural staples. The Rock was no longer a man living in the shadow of his family. He was creating his own legacy, one that was unique and undeniable. This shift didn't just elevate Dwayne's character in the ring, it reshaped his relationship with the audience. Where once there had been boos, now there were cheers or boos, but always intense emotion. He thrived on that energy, drawing power from the love and hate alike. Fans knew that when The Rock was in the ring, they were going to get something worth watching, something unpredictable. By the time Dwayne became the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, the conflict that had once plagued him, his fear of living in his family's shadow, had been replaced by a new, powerful belief. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was The Rock, a force in his own right. What had once seemed like a struggle to find his place in a legacy became the foundation of his legend. And from this moment, the world would never be the same. Transition to Hollywood. By the late 1990s, Dwayne The Rock Johnson was no longer just a wrestler, he was a phenomenon. His larger-than-life persona, charisma, and unmatched mic skills had made him a global icon. Yet, despite the applause and the accolades from the WWE, a restless ambition simmered inside him. Wrestling had brought him fame, but Dwayne knew there was more to his potential. He wanted to step outside the ring, to find new horizons and prove to the world that he wasn't just a wrestler. He was a multifaceted entertainer. The idea of Hollywood beckoned, and for Dwayne it was both a new challenge and a gamble. Leaving wrestling wasn't an easy decision. The Rock was at the pinnacle of his career in WWE, with championship belts and legendary rivalries cementing his place as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But Dwayne's gaze was fixed beyond the ropes, beyond the arenas. He envisioned himself not just in movies, but as a household name. Yet, he was entering a world that was skeptical of his abilities, a world that often looked down on wrestlers turned actors. He wasn't sure if he could succeed, but his desire to break free from the mold of his past drove him forward. Dwayne's first venture into Hollywood came with a supporting role in The Mummy Returns, 2001. His character, the Scorpion King, was meant to be a brief appearance, but it was clear from his performance that he was more than just a former wrestler playing a role. He exuded confidence, charisma, and physicality, traits that made him a natural fit for action films. The character's popularity led to the spin-off The Scorpion King, 2002, marking his first leading role in a feature film. But the transition was not without its struggles. Hollywood, with its entrenched expectations and rigid standards, was not kind to Dwayne in the early years. He faced the challenge of breaking free from the typecasting of being a former wrestler. Critics dismissed him as a novelty, a wrestler playing a tough guy on screen. Dwayne didn't take the criticisms personally, but they stung nonetheless. He knew that the road ahead was going to be filled with challenges, and that the world wasn't ready to accept him as a serious actor. Rather than fighting against this perception, Dwayne made a strategic choice. He would redefine what it meant to be a leading man. He began to take on roles that showcased his versatility, action-packed roles in Walking Tall, 2004, and Gridiron Gang, 2006, as well as lighter comedies like The Game Plan, 2007. His ability to seamlessly transition between genres proved his depth and helped him carve out a niche as a dependable box office draw. Dwayne wasn't just an action star. He was an entertainer, capable of balancing heart, humor, and intensity. With each new film, Dwayne's reputation as an actor solidified. The once criticized wrestler was now a beloved figure in Hollywood, proving that hard work, perseverance, and an unshakable belief in his own abilities could shatter any glass ceiling. His commitment to his craft paid off, not only in box office returns but in respect from his peers. As he stood at the threshold of his Hollywood future, Dwayne knew that this was just the beginning. The road to becoming a true global icon had many twists, but he was ready to take the next step. Dwayne Johnson today and legacy. Today, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a name that transcends entertainment. He is a cultural phenomenon, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and, above all, a symbol of perseverance and reinvention. From the wrestling ring to Hollywood's red carpets, Dwayne's journey has been one of constant evolution. But it's his ability to embrace challenges and use every success, setback, and struggle to propel him forward that has made him one of the most influential figures of the 21st century. Beyond the movie sets, Dwayne has built a multifaceted empire. In 2020, he made a daring leap into business with the launch of Terramana Tequila, a venture that quickly gained traction, blending his entrepreneurial spirit with his larger-than-life persona. It wasn't just a financial decision. It was an extension of his philosophy. Terramana wasn't just about making a product. It was about making a statement. It embodied the values of hard work, authenticity, and respect, principles that Dwayne has carried with him throughout his career.